Hello class, today we're going to do the quiz for Unit 8. Let's get started. So for the first three questions, we want to graph these linear inequalities. This one is already set up in y equals mx plus b form. The negative 2 is our slope, and the positive 1 is the y-intercept. So we can go ahead and graph it. I can put down my y-intercept at 1, and then this slope of negative 2, we want to turn it into a fraction, so it's negative 2 over 1. The negative means go down, and then, so we're going to go down 2 units, and then to the right 1. Because of our inequality symbol, we're going to fill in our points with a straight line, and then we can graph below. The big idea here is that the region that we colored in is where all of our solutions are. So all of the solutions are in the shaded region. Let's move on to number 2. We have to turn this into slope-intercept form. That means we need to get y by itself. So let's move this 2x over. So we have negative 5y is less than 20 minus 2x. Now we're going to divide by negative 5. And because we're dividing by a negative, that's going to flip our inequality symbol. So this needs to face the other direction. So we will have y is now greater than negative 4 plus 2/5 x. We can put down our negative 4 as our y-intercept, and our slope of 2/5 means go up 2 units and over 5. We can only fit 2 points on our graph, but that's okay. We'll fill that in with a dotted line, and then this will get shaded above. Next one, question 3. Once again, we're going to need to turn this into slope-intercept form. So we can subtract the x from both sides, then we have negative 3y is less than negative x, or you can think of this as 0 minus x if you prefer. We're going to divide by that negative 3, and because we're dividing by a negative, our inequality will face the opposite direction. 0 divided by negative 3, that's still 0. And negative 1 divided by negative 3, that's going to be a positive 1/3 x. So our y-intercept in this case, we're going to put it at 0. And our slope means go up 1 and to the right 3. We've run out of room to do that, so we can go the opposite direction as well. We fill this in with a dotted line, and then we can shade above. Next up, questions 4 and 5 are multiple choice. So our inequalities are already graphed, and we want to see which equation matches it. So we have to work backwards a little bit here. Let's identify the y-intercept of this graph. So where does the graph touch the y-axis? That happens here at negative 4. And let's take a look at our slope. You can always go up 1 box and to the right 1 box to get to the next point. So if we're always going up 1 and to the right 1, that means that our slope is 1 over 1, which is the same as 1. So we want to find an equation that matches this, something that has a y-intercept of negative 4 and a slope of positive 1. So let's go ahead and put these into slope-intercept form. That's the easiest way to determine what this is going to be. So for this first equation, we just have to subtract x. We get y is less than or equal to negative 4 minus x. This does have the correct y-intercept. However, the slope should be positive, not negative. So this can't be it. Let's move on to a different one. We can subtract the x from both sides, and we end up with the same issue here, except the inequality is flipped. So we don't want this one either. We don't want that negative slope. We want this positive slope of 1. Okay, let's try another one. So we'll have negative y is less than or equal to 4 minus x. Divide everything by negative 1. So we get y is greater than or equal to negative 4 plus 1x. And we'll get the same result with the with option D, but the symbol's different. So it's going to end up looking like this. So this has the correct y-intercept and the correct slope, but so does this one. The key difference between them is the inequality symbol. So we know that this graph was shaded below the line, and if I want to shade below, that means that my inequality symbol has to face in this direction. And option D has that. Let's try another one. This is going to be a horizontal line. So right away we can say that a horizontal line is always y equals. So we can already eliminate A and C because those are x and not y. So once again, the key distinction between B and D is the direction that these are facing in. So we wanted the graph that is shaded below. So we want the inequality symbol that faces this direction, which is B. Okay, let's move on to the back. We're going to graph the following systems. So for this first one, we just have to subtract x from both sides, and we get y is greater than 8 minus x. So we can put down our first y-intercept. And our slope is negative 1 over 1, so we can go down 1 box and over. Then we fill this in with a dotted line, and this gets shaded above. Okay, next we have x is greater than 5. So that's going to be a vertical line, so we go to where x is 5, put a point, and we can put our vertical line. And we can use a test point to determine where we shade this. If we're testing the point 0, 0, then that means x is 0. So is it true that 0 is bigger than 5? No, that's not true. So we want to shade away from this test point. So we're going to end up shading away from 0, 0. And I like to erase everything and redo my solution. Okay, number 7. Let's fix this up. So for that first equation, we can subtract 4x from both sides. So that's y is greater than or equal to 4 minus 4x. Let's graph it. So we put the 4 down. Then we go down 4 boxes over 1. This gets a solid line. And that is shaded above. Now we can move on to the other equation. So we'll subtract the 3x from both sides. So we have negative 2y is greater than 14 minus 3x. Divide everything by negative 2. So we have y now is less than negative 7 plus 3 halves x. So we can put a dot at negative 7, go up 3 boxes over 2, and fill that in with a dotted line. Lastly, we want to shade below. And I'm going to go ahead and erase everything and recolor in the solution. I would like you guys to try those last 2 problems on your own. It's a multiple choice again, but first you're going to have to graph that system of inequalities like I did on questions 6 and 7. And then you can choose the points A, B, C, or D based on your solution. So let's do an example. The solution is always where the graph is colored in. So I can make one up. There's a ton of them. I can go ahead and say that this point of 7, 0 is a solution. Or I could have said something like 4, -3 is a solution. So as long as the point is in the blue shaded area, it is a solution. So once you graph your answers, once you graph your systems here, there's going to be one point that you can choose that is going to be in the shaded area.